Well, hey, folks, happy Sunday morning. Time to wake up, time to get up, time to drink your coffee, do all that stuff. Welcome to the show. As most of you already know, unless you're new here, this is a very informal version of the Intrepid radio program. As a matter of fact, so informal as to not even be called the Intrepid radio program, but we still have all the trappings up for the show. You can check the scroll bar down below to see all the different things we talk about during the week, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, as well as all the websites where you can find all of our stuff, all of my stuff, actually. And I want to welcome you all, everybody who's here this morning. I see Master Finn is here. Good to see you. And Roger Rabbit, good to see you. And, of course, Uncle Dave was here very early along with Field Guy. I think neither of which went to bed last night. So, by what I read earlier. So, good morning, Lelania. Nice to see you. I've had those days. And Dave and I had a lot of those days when we did a lot of work together. And we'd have sleepless nights and long days when Uncle Dave and I were painting the murals at the Masonic Hall in St. Louis Park, Minnesota, back in 2009. And was it the flip over to the new year, to 2010? I know we were prepping for some big thing they had coming up. And we had 163 linear feet of walls in the hallways that were all cinder block. And we were commissioned with painting them to look like the interior of a castle. So over the cinder block walls, we painted stonework to make it look like rough stonework of the interior of an ancient castle. And, of course, plaster walls and beams and things like that. And all the cheap plywood doors for the bathrooms and the closets got painted, hand-painted to look as if they were oak doors that were held together with big iron studs and things like that. And so we had a good time with that. And we did a lot of stuff on the interior of the hall as well in the form of shields. They did all kinds of woodwork in the main hall, and they did these wooden shields, and we designed all the donors to the hall to help that project out would get a shield with their family crest, and we'd print those up on sticky back, and we would paste them. Unless the whole thing is lined with shields. If you go to my website, scottallenroberts.com, and click on the murals link, just scroll down to the you'll find the Masonic Hall murals, and you'll see what Dave and I worked on. But there were times we worked, and we were working to meet deadline, working all night long, so for a couple of weeks, and I'd go sleep in the blue room at the Masonic Hall. So it was pretty interesting. So anyway, all of that off of that impromptu off the top of my head. And so welcome this morning. You can see it's a bit of a gloomy day here, but I don't mind gloomy days. Look at this. If I can show the window, if it will show you anything. You can kind of see the trees today because it's so dark outside. That doesn't look dark, but it's dark outside. So we're going to get some rain or something here pretty soon. So how is it in your neck of the woods? How's your coffee? Hey, happy coffee morning. So I have not seen signs of rainy yet this morning. I've been up since about 5:30 or something like that. Uncle Dave, Rainey's here somewhere. She's still sleeping, I think. Two of the kids are off at overnights at their friends, and of course that leaves the 7-year-old who has no one to play with and nothing to do. And but she's quiet this morning. She's up watching TV, and mom's still in bed. So Roger, I do. My twin daughters, Abby and Bryn. So anyway, Yeah, they came and they painted on that big mural too. They helped with that, as a matter of fact. It was pretty cool. And um, that was when we were really pushing it, and it was getting tight. Yeah, we wanted to make sure that we finished on schedule, and so they came down. They're pretty talented. You've seen their. This was before they founded Mermaid Finfolk, their mermaid tail company. This was in 2009. We were working on that, and they didn't found Finfolk till about 2000. I want to say 11, because I think they're in their 11th year now of that company. So yeah, they came down and they expressed their creative talents on the walls. I showed them how I was doing the walls and of that thing, and yeah. So it was pretty cool. And so, what's everybody up to today? What do you want to talk about today? I've got some topics I want to talk about today, but and I've got something all lined up. But I don't want to make it a teaching day. But it is Sunday, and ought we to talk about some spiritual things since it's Sunday, which is the day that's traditionally set aside, especially in Christianity. Of course, Saturday, being the Sabbath, would be set aside by Jews and the Jewish people, our Jewish brethren. No, it's rainy here today. He says, not rainy. Rainy with a Y is what it's doing outside, almost. It's not raining yet, but it's cool. I love that melancholic looking, where the sun should be shining. It should be bright and blue skies, but it's overcast. But there's still clouds in the overcast. You can see some definition, but it's getting dark, and it's not green like it gets when it really storms bad, but that yellowish kind of gray, but it's luminescent, and it's dark outside. So it's very cool. I love that look. It's almost comforting. It makes the whole house, when you've got the lights off, and it's 9 a.m. in the morning, and in almost summer. It's going to be June in a couple of days, believe it or not. And but it gives that whole house that mellow. Melancholic can have a negative connotation, but it's the only word that comes up. I don't mean melancholic in the depressed sense of the word, but melancholic in that mellow, dark, quiet, tranquil. That's what I like about days like this. Elaine, you just watched her neighbors head off to church. Horrible people Monday through Saturday, but they go to church every Sunday. I want to not. This morning I was going to present something on Jesus, an historical Jesus, but from a different position than we had in the past, because I'm not trying to degrade Jesus, because I don't think he's worth degrading. That's not a good thing, because no matter what you believe about him, I think he was a good person. I believe he was an historical person. At least in his name, his followers founded quite a religion. But Christians in the church nowadays are the ones that they didn't turn me against God. Only I could turn myself against God. But they did turn me against church. I had some very good people I knew in the church, very good friends. But I also had people that I was surrounded with that didn't seem to me to be good people. It wasn't a heart thing. And when I was in ministry, we used to talk about, and I had said this a couple of times when I spoke publicly to the whole church instead of just the youth group. I said, we've got that thing going on where we come to church on Sunday and we wear our best and we show our pretty faces and our smiley faces at church. And we come in and we listen, we sing the songs and we listen to the sermons. We put money in the offering plate and we go away inspired to be something better throughout the next week. And church became a thing for a lot of people, I think, where you have to go on Sunday. It's just the thing you do. If you didn't, it wasn't God would be angry with me, or God would be put out, or God would want me there, or God was imploring me to come and fellowship with other believers. We went to church because we were afraid of what other people would think if we stopped going to church, or if we missed a Sunday. Where were you last Sunday? And one of the big things for me when I was in ministry was watching a lot of people, myself included sometimes, was that we become all inspired by God on Sunday, yet when Monday came around, it totally went out the window. It wasn't something that affected us throughout the week. Sure, we would pray before meals with the family. We would say we would have our devotions. What was your devotions? Your devotions was like the daily meditation in God's word. We'd get up in the morning or sometime during the day, read our Bible, and we would say a prayer and so on. It wasn't like Muslims who were 5 times a day praying, but it was something that we were supposed to be doing. And everything felt rote, R-O-T-E. Like it was something we were supposed to do, so we did it. And yet the heartfelt side of that were few and far between. Those moments were. We could say we believed. We could even act like we believed. Many of us even were believers, true believers, and we were striving to be the kind of person we were supposed to be, biblically speaking. Yet the one thing I noticed in ministry especially was how quickly the inspiration of a Sunday message from the pulpit, from the pastor, was forgotten when daily life came in. That's why I liked the last church I was ever in was with the man who became a friend of mine. I've mentioned him many times, Parson Larson, I called him. Pastor John Larson. And because he was a real man, he was real about what he taught. He was real when he got up there. Did he have his own problems? Sure. Did he have his own struggles in life? Sure. And he was honest about those. But he was a man who sincerely sought to live a life that was in accordance with what he taught and what he believed. And for many of us, it's what we say we believe. Oh, I believe this thing, but does my life follow suit with that? Can you look at aspects of my life and say, I follow suit with that? Now, there's many things I can pull out of my life. Even at the time I was a professing Christian in the ministry, in church, there were many things that I could hail to in my personal life that did not sync with what I was teaching. There were many times I struggled with that. I remember those verses in, we've broken them down into verses, but the sentences, the paragraphs where the Apostle Paul in the New Testament, whether you believe he hijacked Christianity for the Herodians or not, he wrote good things. He wrote good philosophy about living a Christian life, whether he hijacked the whole thing or not. Let's set that question aside. But Paul said, he said, I find that all the things, and I'm going to paraphrase it so it's easier to understand, kind of amplify it. He said, all the things that I want to do, I find myself not doing. And he's talking about living the Christian life. And he says, and all the things I don't want to do, referring to his sinful nature as he labeled it, all the things I don't want to do, I find myself constantly doing. And I think the verse says, if you quoted it directly, it says something like, all that which I would do, I do not, and all which I would not do, I do. And he's saying, so the things I want to do, I don't do them. I'm horrible at it. And the things I don't want to do, I do all the time, even though I don't want to live that kind of life anymore. and he says, I find that it's part of my nature. And then he says, so I find that there's a conflict in my nature, or as he put, a war between my members of himself, he says. That war is fighting the things I don't want to be rather than being the thing I want to be. And he says, so it's a constant struggle. It's a constant fight. It's a constant thing. And even when I was in ministry, Romeldi and I'm like you, I haven't been to church in over 10 years. Wow. And I'm not proud of that. I'm just saying it's a fact. It's a fact. I haven't been there I think the last time I went to church, I've told stories about it in this podcast, this broadcast over the years, that was when my daughters, I think, were about 15 or 16. No, Raini and I weren't dating yet. And so we started dating in 2005. So my daughters would have been 13. It was probably earlier that year or the year before. They were 12 or 13. And I took them to my old church where Parson Larson was the pastor. And I think that's the last time I have gone to church, attended church. I've been in churches since then, but not in attendance to a ministry. Let's see here. Matt Finn. In fact, Jesus spoke against the worship of the temple, filled with hypocrites and money and men who defiled the Father's name. Yeah, what did he say at that point where he was tipping over the tables of the marketplace that had been set up by the Sanhedrin inside the temple? It was to sell, birds for offerings, doves, pigeons, to sell different things for worship. It was what it was supposed to be. Yet it was a big marketplace where the temple profited from this. I don't know what else they had there. Did they set up like a farmer's market there too, as well as, you can get your worship stuff, and you can also get, you can get your little prayer boxes. Oh, but can you get little knickknacks to take home or whatever? I don't know exactly what all was sold there. But when Jesus was enraged by this, he went over, it says he fashioned a whip out of strips of leather. And he's thrashing at these guys. He's kicking over their tables. And his disciples are there with him, probably other followers as well, because it says he did this act and held people out for 3 days out of the temple compound. But what was he saying at the time? He said that you are turning my Father's house, which is meant to be a house of prayer, into a den of thieves. And yes, they exchange currency at interest. That's right, Matt Finn. And so this is something that Jesus did. So to me, by the way, the limp-wristed, and I don't mean that as a euphemism for gay. Get that out of your heads if anybody thinks I'm saying it that way. The limp-wristed, the feeble, the gentle Jesus, to me, is not an accurate picture of the kind of guy he was. Remember, he grew up a manual laborer. He was a carpenter and a stonemason by the interpretation of the word that's used in the Koine Greek in the New Testament for carpenter. Carpenter was synonymous with stonemason, meaning basically he was a construction dude. He worked with his father in construction of timber and also stone. And what did you predominantly have in Judea at that time? I don't think there were vast lumber yards where you went and got your lumber, although I think you could find the trees, obviously, and there was imported stuff. But there was a hell of a lot of stone. They did a lot of work in stonemasonry. And so I'm not making that as a connection to people said, the people have tried to say, well, you're wrong about that. You're just trying to tie masonry and Masonic stuff into Jesus. No, I'm not. I'm just saying this is what he was. He was a carpenter and a stonemason. If there's any link to Masonic tradition, that's totally aside of the point I'm making. But anyway, all of this to say, building on what Matt Finn had said, that, Jesus, he decried the religious hierarchy of the day. I think a lot the same way we would see the hierarchy in, say, the literalist Orthodox Roman Catholic Church. You see a lot of decrying of the priesthood, a lot of decrying of the bishops, a lot of decrying of the Pope. Of course, a lot of that focuses around pedophilia and things like that, but other things as well. And I think Jesus did the very same thing in his day. The Sanhedrin, the ruling class in Judea, in ancient Judea, of the temple of Judaism. You had the Pharisees and the Sadducees, the scribes, the Pharisees, as Jesus said, and added the word hypocrites. Jesus had that long dissertation of, here, let's see if I can look it up. Jesus decrying the religious hierarchy. Let's see if it comes up under that search criteria. The first article came up was how Jesus became white and why it's time to cancel that, says somebody. I'm not even looking at that. Jesus wasn't white, by the way. Jesus was a Middle Eastern Semitic man who, according to the scripture, was a Jew, could name his tribe, was born to a woman who was a Jew, may have had a father who was a Jew, depending on how you see the virgin birth and so on, the Son of God, what you believe about that. But Jesus was Semitic. He was Middle Eastern. He was born in what was Israel, Judea, lived around Nazareth, born in Nazareth, and lived around that environment most of his life, the area of Galilee. Jesus was not a white guy, but Jesus also was not a black guy, as some would like to put forward. Jesus isn't what you feel he is. Oh, well, we have a black church, so Jesus will be black. If you want to do that, that's fine. But I think that there's efficacy to being accurate about who Jesus is. He wasn't white and he wasn't black. He was Middle Eastern. He was olive-skinned. So anyway, here's where Jesus criticizes the religious leaders. It's in the book of Matthew, Gospel of Matthew 23. Let's see. I want to see what version this is. The New Living Translation. I don't like that. I grew up with the King James. I went to the New International Version of the Bible. It's a translation, not a translation. It's it's a translation, but it's not changing. How would I say? It's not amplifying. It's not changing. It's going back to the texts, the same text they used to create the 1611 King James version of the Bible, only in modern English. So I like the new International Version. What are some of the other versions they list here? You got the Catholic Bible, Names of God Bible. You got all these different versions. The Expanded Bible, which adds a lot of modern idiom. The New American Standard was one that we used. We basically used the King James version, but then we went into the NIV, and I liked the Message, which was I think a really good version that translated the text into modern idiom. And I don't see it in here. So let's just go with the NIV version. Let me find it here. I'm scrolling to it. I want to read. There it is. New International Version. Boom. Okay. Now, this is in Matthew 23, and it says this. Here, I could share my screen with you. But why? I'll just read it to you. Nah, you know what? Let's share the screen. How's that for decisiveness? Share. Share screen. Boom. Boom. There you go. Let's go over to this in the New International Version right here. All right. This says, Then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, The teachers of the law and the Pharisees sit in Moses' seat. So you must be careful to do everything they tell you. but don't do what they do, for they do not practice what they preach. Okay, did you catch all that? He says, they're sitting, all our teachers of the law and the Pharisees, they sit in the seat of Moses, meaning Moses being the original, the lawgiver to the Jews, supposedly given by God to the Jews. And so they're sitting in his seat. They're the ones teaching and putting forward the law that was established by Moses. He says, so you have to be careful to do what they tell you to do, but don't do what they do, for they don't practice what they preach. So he's saying, listen to the words they teach, because the words are immortal. The words are everlasting. They keep going on. But listening to them, don't follow their lifestyles, but they're teaching the truth still. He says, they tie up heavy, cumbersome loads, and they put them on other people's shoulders. But they themselves are not willing to lift a finger to move them. So they're saying their lifestyle doesn't match their teaching, even though what they're teaching is truth. He says everything they do is done for people to see. They make their phylacteries. It's the prayer, the little prayer boxes and all the stuff that they would wear to prayer. They make their phylacteries wide and the tassels on their garments long. That's the prayer shawls. They love the place of honor at banquets and the most important seats in the synagogues. This is who these people are. You ever seen people like that? Families in church, they'll come in and a visitor or somebody who'd never been there before is in the pew where they normally sit. And you can just see if they would speak the indignation. It's like, why, my family is sat in this pew for generations. How can you sit here? You know, that's almost the attitude they have. But the Pharisees, they would sit in the best seats, most visible seats at the synagogue and at the banquets. Because they love to be seen. They love to be greeted with respect in the marketplaces and be called rabbi by others. Going on to verse 8 down here. But you are not to be called rabbi. He's speaking to the common folk now. You're not to be called rabbi, for you have one teacher and you are all brothers. And do not call, and remember, he's talking to the crowds, not just his disciples. Way up here at the very beginning, then Jesus said to the crowds and to his disciples, he's saying all this stuff. So to his disciples and everybody that's around him, he says, you're not rabbis. You don't have to be called that. He says, you're all brothers. You have one teacher. And don't call anyone on earth father, for you have one Father, and he's in heaven. That doesn't mean you can't look at your dad and go, oh, Father, may I use the car tonight? It's not that. That's not what he's saying. The connotation with Father in the koine is the God the Father. So don't give anybody the title of Father like you give God the title of Father. Because you have only one Father. He says he's in heaven. Nor are you to be called instructors, for you have one instructor, the Messiah. The greatest among you will be your servant. For those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted. And this is where he throws the woes on the teachers of the law and the Pharisees. Listen to this. He goes on to say, woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You shut the door of the kingdom of heaven in people's faces. You yourselves do not enter, nor will you let those enter who are trying to. So he woe to you. What is another version of the word woe? Woe is he's pissed off, declaring a woe on somebody. Not a woo. A woo is different, Uncle Dave. Because we used to woo all the time, but a woe to you, beware, judgment's coming kind of a thing is behind the woe to you. And he goes on, woe to you, teachers of the law and the Pharisees, you hypocrites. He repeats this phrase over and over again. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites. You travel over land and sea to win a single convert, And when you have succeeded, you make them twice as much a child of hell as you are. Whew, what's he referring to there? He goes on, woe to you, blind guides. You say, if anyone swears by the temple, it means nothing, but anyone who swears by the gold of the temple is bound by that oath. You blind fools, which is greater, the gold or the temple that makes the gold sacred? You also say, if anyone swears by the altar, it means nothing, but anyone who swears by the gift on the altar is bound by that oath. You blind men, which is greater, the gift or the altar that makes the gift sacred? Therefore, anyone who swears by the altar swears by it and by everything on it. And anyone who swears by the temple swears by it and by the one who dwells in it. And anyone who swears by heaven swears by God's throne and by one who sits on it. Now, by the way, as you can tell, he's speaking in context to the religious practice and beliefs of the day and what the scribes and the Pharisees, the hypocrites he's calling, were teaching. He goes on, woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You give a tenth of your spices, mint, dill, cumin, but you have neglected the more important matters of life, justice, mercy, and faithfulness. You should have practiced the latter without neglecting the former. You blind guides, you strain out a gnat, but swallow a camel. I love that word picture. You strain a gnat out of your tea, but you'll swallow a camel. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they're full of greed and self-indulgence. Blind Pharisees, first clean the inside of the cup and the dish, and then the outside will also come clean. This is the one I like, this next one. Woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You are like whitewashed tombs, which look beautiful on the outside, but on the inside are full of the bones of the dead and everything unclean. In the same way, on the outside, you appear to people as righteous, but on the inside, you're full of hypocrisy and wickedness. Now, he's not talking about just being a normal, flawed person who struggles to be better. He's talking about these Pharisees, these leaders in the religion that they all followed, as being teachers of the law, which was a good thing. They were also made sure they looked good on the outside to everybody else, but actually inside, they were filled with dead men's bones, he says, like a whitewashed, white-painted sepulcher, it says in the original, the whitewashed tomb, where outside the tomb you'd paint it white to make it look pretty, plant flowers and whatever. On the inside, it's full of dead men's bones. He says, that's what you are. He's saying to these guys. He says, woe to you, teachers of the law and Pharisees, you hypocrites! You build tombs for the prophets and decorate the graves of the righteous. And you say, if we had lived in the days of our ancestors, we would not have taken part with them in shedding the blood of the prophets. So you testify against yourselves that you are the descendants of those who murdered the prophets. Go ahead then, complete what your ancestors started. So he's on a roll here. He's picking them to pieces. He goes on, you snakes, you brood of vipers, how will you escape being condemned to hell? Therefore, I'm sending you prophets and sages and teachers. Some of them you will kill and crucify. Others you will flog in your synagogues and pursue from town to town. And so upon you will come all the righteous blood that's been shed on the earth, from the blood of the righteous Abel to the blood of Zechariah, the son of Berechiah, whom you murdered between the temple and the altar. It's referring to things that we don't know much about. Truly, I tell you, all this will come on this generation. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, he starts to conclude. You who kill the prophets and stone those sent to you, how often have I longed to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, and you were not willing. Look, your house is left to you desolate. For I tell you, you will not see me again until you say, Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Well, what do you think of that? What do you think of that version of Jesus? Very interesting stuff. I want to see some of you had to say. Matt Finn said when Jesus told Simon Peter, to get behind me, Satan, he was in reference to the Jewish belief of Zionism here on earth. They believed that Jesus would build an earthly kingdom. Yeah. He said, get behind me, debating whether or not the Sanhedrin should be allowed to have a writ of execution against him. And so he's on trial before Pilate, and Pilate says, you say you're the Son of God, and so he's questioning him. Jesus finally said, my kingdom is not of this earth, but of heaven above. And that's the mistake that everybody made. Remember, we talked about this recently, how at Easter time, I think we brought this up again. Palm Sunday, the Sunday before the Friday he was crucified. That Sunday, he rides into Jerusalem on the foal of a donkey. And everybody, the crowds are gathering. He's coming from the Jericho Road, by the way, which you can still go there today. He's coming along the cliffside, the hillside from the Jericho Road, and rides into Jerusalem. He can be seen coming up the road. And the people gather. They're throwing the palm fronds down in his path. Hail to the King, they're saying. Hosanna. And which was not a spiritual belief. When they were doing this, they were doing what they had done before, about 100 years before. Remember Judas Maccabees, Judas the Hammer, how they had cleared the temple of the Greeks, and the Romans helped them back 100 plus years earlier. Well, Judas Maccabee was a patriotic Jew. And what became the symbol of his family was the palm frond. So 100 years plus later, when Jesus is riding in, they think he's the Messiah. He is the Messiah, and their interpretation is the Messiah who would set up a kingdom on earth. He would oust the Romans and the harsh rule of the Romans. So they're throwing the palm fronds down. Hail to the King. They think Jesus is the one that's going to unify them and raise an army and oust the Romans. That's all that meant. And the palm frond was a symbol of the Maccabean family. It was like throwing down the American eagle or something as a symbol of the United States. It was a patriotic symbol of that family that had ousted the Greeks. And so they're waving the palm frond, the symbol of the Maccabees, the symbol of revolt against oppression. And they throw it on the ground. You're the new king. You're the new Judas Maccabee. And within a few days, Jesus had pretty much established, my kingdom isn't of this earth. I haven't come to overthrow the Romans. I've come to offer you the kingdom of God in your hearts, to God in heaven. And that's why they were able to turn on him so easily a few days later. So I disagree. The Jewish people always believed that they would form an earthly kingdom. They would rule over. It was a belief held by the Kabbalists and is still today held by Zionists. Right. I agree with you to a certain extent there, Matt. I think in the day, though, they believed that Jesus was there to oust the Romans. To them, what was the Messiah supposed to do in bringing his kingdom of God to earth? The Messiah was supposed to deliver them from oppression. And so the common folk, watered this down to, well, if you deliver us from oppression, that means you're raising an army. You're going to become the new king, and you're going to oust the Romans. You're going to establish your kingdom. So that's what hey, good morning, Brianna Learman. Lelania said, my parents called the church and asked that this woman be removed from the bus. The church said they would not do that because she needed God more than I did. Interesting. There's more to it. Oh, I see. There's more to that story. You said, when I was 4, I rode a church bus to church. Of all the other children, there was one adult that was also picked up. One day, this woman decided she didn't like my laughter. She came back to my seat, beat me from head to toe. No one did anything. Ah, and your parents called. I got it. I got that story. So, hey, Andy Dabbs, good to see you. Talking a little religious history this morning, if you're still there. Nice to see you in here this morning. And Andy, as you all know, is my friend up in the Northwoods, who I'm writing this book for and with, and which should be wrapped up pretty soon here. So that's where I spend my time away when I'm out of here. It's about 3.5 hours north of here, and up in Pequot Lakes, Minnesota. So, where are we here? It's just looking at the chat room again. Well, anyway, this is all came out of talking about the church. Lelania talking about church. Haven't been to church for a while, and some of the comments that were made as a result of that. And so you start looking at, here's why, part of why I changed some of my views, my religious views, was finding out that some of the things that I held sacred, some of the things that I believed, there's actually a little different spin on those if you look into the history, if you look into things. So today, says Matt Finn, this earthly kingdom is famed by the Christians as the millennial reign. Right. Well, a millennium is 1,000 years. Of course, that is all based on your view of eschatology. You're saying that Christians today think that this earthly kingdom is going to be the millennial kingdom. When does the millennial kingdom, for those of you who aren't in the know about eschatology, talks about Jesus comes to earth 2,000 years ago, crucified, resurrected, goes into heaven, ascends into heaven, ushering in what we've called this parenthetical, the age of grace, this period of time where belief in God is taken from being just a Jewish thing prior to the death of Jesus to now open to the Gentiles, this parenthesis. But when that parenthetical period ends, we don't know the ending of it. They thought it was going to happen in their day, 2,000 years ago, the writers of the New Testament. When that ends, is supposed to come what you've all heard of, the rapture. That the Son of God comes back in the clouds, not the second coming, because he didn't come all the way down. Comes in the clouds, calls up all the believers in him to heaven. Poof, 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 all gone. And then immediately that ushers in the 7 years of tribulation, which is spoken about in the prophetic books. And this would be where the Holy Spirit of God is removed from its influence on mankind. And there would be 7 years of this terrible declining world leads to the Battle of Armageddon. And during this 7 years is the rise of what the prophetic scriptures call the Antichrist. The one that is not the Christ, but is almost worshipped as one. The one that becomes the leader of the known world. And the one that allows the temple to be rebuilt in Jerusalem. Oh boy, what would have to happen historically for the temple of the Jews to be allowed to be replace the Dome of the Rock on the Temple Mount? That's going to be quite a political fiasco. But all of these actions lead up to Armageddon, which is where the Son of Man, the Son of God, makes his second advent to the earth and wipes out with his heavenly hosts all the armies of the earth and establishes his 1,000-year millennial kingdom. Let's see. Matt Finn says, I'm not a believer in the pre-tribulation rapture. Right. We used to say, are you a pre-trib or post-trib millennialist? You know, we used to ask that. And so here's where you have, once again, in Scripture, lots of learned people from many sides of the table all disagreeing over what that's supposed to be. you and I might have a different view on that. I don't know what my view is anymore. I know what it used to be, is what I'm talking about. The pre-tribulation rapture, post-tribulation millennial kingdom, which ushers in eternity when that 1,000-year reign is over on the earth. And so it's an interesting prophetic calendar. What does it mean? Does it mean that God himself will be recognized by all humans finally, that he is the literal physical ruler on earth during the millennial kingdom? Or is it is it metaphoric? Some will say, well, it has to be metaphoric. Well, how do we turn that into metaphor? When it's spoken of literally. So how do we interpret scripture is what that comes down to. And you're a mid-millennialist. No, just a millenniumist. a millenniumist. You're a millennium. You're not a millenniumist. There we go. I don't use the word millennialist very often. Millenniumist. There you go. Millennialist, we always used to say. I don't know that I am either. Used to be, because there was in the conservative fundamentalist Baptist church a prophetic calendar that you had to follow word for word that was in league with what the church taught. Baptist first. Well, anyway, all of that to say, this all came off of Lelania's statement near the very beginning. Thank you, Anton. Andy. It is a great topic. So based on what Lelania said very early, I haven't been to church in 10 years, she said. Well, I haven't been to church in probably 18 years. Doesn't seem that long ago, but it's been a long time. And part of it is because I had to start taking the things I was taught in belief and balancing them against the things I was researching historically. Now, can a spiritual belief transcend history? Yes. Can historical fact be changed because I want to believe something differently? No. Brianna says, in all honesty, I never went to church after we moved, so I have no clue what you guys are talking about. Yeah, we found a witch. May we burn her? Brianna's a witch, by the way. Just wanted you all to know that. She casts spells. And at least by a post she put up. Lelania says, I don't know what I am. I call myself Christian with pagan tendencies. I do the same thing, Lelania. I don't know if you caught them back in the day, but I did a couple of different series on the Intrepid radio program over the last 3 years or more about Christo-paganism or pagan Christianity, the merging of the two. Is there room for those two things to be merged, which were actually historically in post-Jesus time have been diametrically opposed to each other? The church methodically tried to wipe out. They also methodically tried to incorporate them by merging their holidays with Christian holidays, their belief systems with Christian belief systems, and so on. Let's win them over by assimilating who they are. Maybe that thing I sent you is true, said Brianna. Yeah, that thing of witch thing she sent me, and I can't describe it off the top of my head, but all I do know is I'm baptized as Lutheran. Were you baptized as a baby, or were you baptized as an adult, or baptized as a what was it, confirmation in the Lutheran Church you had to go through, catechism in the Catholic Church, but infant baptism? I do know this. Without making a spiritual statement about whether or not baptism is efficacious, there are many people who go, do you think you're going to heaven when you die? Well, I was baptized as an infant. Well, were you baptized in the way that Scripture actually prescribes it, or were you baptized in a way the church changed it to mean? Nope, just baptized as a baby. Well, my understanding of Scripture, scripturally, That's meaningless when you're baptized as a baby. Because what was baptism? A couple of things, and we've talked about this before, but worth repeating right now. The word baptize in the English, and when we read it in our English Bible, isn't a translation of the word. It's a transliteration. And it was a transliteration given to us in the 1611 King James Version of the Bible because of the politics behind baptism. Transliteration means they're taking the Greek word and translating it into English letters. So the Greek word in the Koine for baptism was baptizo. Baptizo in English is baptize. So you must be baptized. They weren't interpreting the meaning of the word, though. Baptizo in Koine Greek means immersion, dunked below the water and brought back out. So if you're using the actual word baptizo and interpreting it in the Bible, it should say all of you who are believers should be immersed, because there was a meaning to that. But because the politics of the day, they didn't do that. So they just they found a way out by transliterating the word from Koine Greek to English. And so they avoided having to put in the interpretation. That's the first thing about the word baptized. The second thing is that the scripture says that baptism was to be the first act of obedience of somebody who has consciously, cognitively become a Christian. Now, a 7-day-old baby can't consciously, cognitively become a Christian. It can be used as a dedication if you want to, but it does nothing. Even the book of James says baptism is not the act of saving the soul, but the act of a good conscience before God. That's all it was. Baptism or immersion was a symbol of obedience for the Christian who became a Christian, cognitively aware of it, made a decision to become Christian, because you're not born Christian. It's like I've said many times, you can stand in a garage all you want and you'll never become a car. You can go to church all you want. That doesn't make you a Christian. Christian was a decision. So when you made that decision, the first act of obedience to God was to show a symbol of that by getting baptized, or immersed as the word translates. So the transliteration, the actual meaning of the word, the actual act of what it was meant to be are all things that are thrown away when you have infant baptism. So Brianna says, I've been getting pressured by John's family to baptize the girls, but they want them to be baptized as Christian. You know what? That's because they want you to follow in their footsteps. I'm not saying you shouldn't consider what the family asks, but at the same time, you need to consider what you want your own children to believe. Baptizing them doesn't do anything for their souls. You could bring up, I could write it out for you. You can all look it up. You can look it up, Brianna. You can tell your family, here's why I don't believe baptism is good for my kids. You can say we can dedicate our kids, but do you want to dedicate them as Christian? Raini and I haven't done that with our children. We talked about it when they were born. Well, when Flynn was born anyway. We didn't go through with that. We have sometimes talked about getting involved in a church again for the sake of our kids. Maybe it would be good for our kids to have that structure, that religious structure. But I don't know that there's a church that I would want to go to where I would follow the belief system that's being taught. Raini's grandma used to tell Raini, I should start a church. Right, me a pastor. But, Raini talks about that with me and says, you should. It doesn't have to be what you came out of. It could be something different. I've thought about it. I've thought about it. But starting a church, I might be able to get John and Bree to come. Because if I started a church, I wouldn't want to do it in a like this. You guys know me. I like boobs. I like my wife naked. I talk about that stuff. I wouldn't be able to talk about that like that anymore. I couldn't go to the pulpit on Sunday morning and talk about having boobs in my face. You just can't do that. Then somebody would invariably come in and say, I've heard some of your radio shows where you talk about boobs and stuff like that, and slap your wife's naked ass. Why, you can't be the pastor of this church. Why? Because pastors don't like their wife's boobs? No, they just supposedly don't talk about it. Oh, I'm hearing rolling thunder. Oh, that's a train. It's the train on the other side of the trees. The Church of Intrepid, says Grumpy Stack. There it is. So, yeah. And so, frankly, I like Brianna's boobs, too. I just don't get to see them. So, can a guy who can admit stuff like that be a pastor of a church? I would have to change my ways. I would have to... What?
Why would you have to change your ways?
Why wouldn't I have to change that?
Why would you?
Yeah, watch out. The train's going to get you, said Brianna. Well, would people be accepting of somebody who talks like that? Who has... Now, I talk that way. Am I a dirty guy? Am I dirty? Am I prurient in nature? Well, people associate that with that. But I think I could be very honest as a pastor and say, I love my wife's naked body. Well, right. We were talking about Catholic pedophiles.
So,
Raini's joining the show from over there at her desk.
why can't you talk about boobs and butts and
Right.
be a normal human being? Yes.
Right. Right. What is that? Oh, that's a palm, a face to the hand. Thank you, Brianna. Let's see. Good morning, Matthew Sainsbury. Matt Finn says, I enjoy my wife too, but don't talk about it constantly. Well, I do. So that makes me non-pastoral material. I'm okay with it. So far, my wife is too. John A. Senecal, I wonder if the split between Catholic and Orthodox is related to the Russian-Ukrainian war today. I know Russia is basically a secular society. I don't think Putin would pull the things he does because he's a believer in the Catholic and the Orthodox, the Eastern Orthodox. Well, isn't Russia and Ukraine both Eastern Orthodox? I know there's Ukrainian Orthodox. My stepfather is Ukrainian. Is that related? I don't know, John, to tell you the truth. I really don't know enough about that to say it looks like that could be a cause. The Pope's media hall is in the form of a snake, says Matt Finn, where he speaks from its mouth. Enough said. Wow, that's interesting. The media hall, huh? I don't know much about that. Good morning, Raini, says Lelania. Are you in the chat room, Raini, or they're just responding because I said you were there? You could. You should try your camera. Go into the chat room. I should see.
Echo thing back and forth, though.
It's not too bad. We can try it if you want. Then you wouldn't have to come over here and sit in my lap. Because I like it when she sits in my lap. Boom! Talking about my wife and my relationship to her. So... let's see. So, yeah, I was just reading some of the comments over there. Sorry, in the chat room. And so let's bring it back to where we were kind of starting on this. Why do I go to church? Why do I not go to church? Why don't I darken the door of a church? I got no problem going to church.
Who the hell wants to get up his ass early on a weekend and drive somewhere? Sit and listen to some dude talk to him freaking self.
Well, why should I start a church then?
You're talking to people back
Yeah.
You're making it an open discussion versus just a.
Rainy says, who would want to go to, who wants to get up early ass on Sunday on the days off that you have, or you can sleep in a little bit to go to church and listen to some guy talk?
Unless there's free gluten-free donuts and never-ending pot of coffee. No.
Dave Potter says, I didn't go to the seminary because of my fucking mouth. Well, hi, puppy. So, yeah, I went to seminary because I was told I was that I would be in the will of God if I went into ministry. So I went to Bible school. That's why I went to seminary. I've said this before. This is non sequitur, but we were poor when I was growing up, and my mom had looked into it, and I qualified for the Minnesota State Financial Grant and Aid to go to University of Minnesota or an accredited college. Pillsbury Baptist Bible College, where I ended up going, was non-accredited, but it's where my church said I would be in the will of God if I went there, mostly because it was founded by our pastor. And so I needed to go there instead of some other Bible college. But the Minnesota State Financial Grant and Aid back in the late 70s allowed for kids from low-income families to be able to go to the University of Minnesota, big prestigious top 10 school, or other universities, state universities, stuff like that. And I had a full ride at the University of Minnesota. I could have gone to the University of Minnesota and taken any number of degrees in any number of things. If I could go back in time, we were talking about time travel the other day, and change my mind, I would probably go to something that made more money in life. And who knows that a degree is even necessary? Listen to Mike Rowe, they're really not. You just have to have some skills. You gotta pursue things. Well, I could have gone to the University of Minnesota and gone into film school, Uncle Dave. That's something that was always in the back of my mind. To go into film school, to be a cinematographer, to be an art director. I could have gone just simply for advertising, art direction, creative direction, the course I did pursue. I could have done any number of things. I could have been a lawyer or a doctor. I find those professions boring. It's not what I wanted to do with my life. But there's any number of things you could have done. So I could have done that, but I didn't. I went to the little accredited school. So Raini Roberts is in the chat room. Okay, I'm here, she says. Hey, Raini, click on this link. I'm going to invite you to this link.
Click on your own link.
No, you click on my link. She was down under the desk last night fixing a printer that prints to the other side of the desk. She was down there on the floor, and she kept touching me in places with things. And be like, oh, what are you doing down there? And she'd laugh. So, Raini, here's this link. You click on that link. I'm going to see if we can bring her in on her own really on its deathbed computer over there. See if she gets a good the touch game, Matthew. Yep, that's it. So you see that link, sweetie? Go ahead and paste that in. See where it gets you. So yeah, church. I would start a church, but it wouldn't be the kind of church you'd think it would be. It would involve spirituality. It would involve Jesus. It would involve Christianity. But it would involve other things as well. So
Now I gotta figure out how to adjust my stuff so I can be on the camera.
okay.
Because the problem is my camera's way up here.
It points up high. So you either have to have a really high stool, or Raini's going to try to work out getting on camera over there. We got to get her a new computer. So that's coming. We got to get her something that for her business. She's got this old desktop. It's an old Dell. I don't know what year it is.
Old enough it
doesn't support a lot of things.
doesn't support Photoshop.
Photoshop, she can't even use in there. She can use it, but it doesn't work right. It'd be the church most of us need. Maybe, Lelania. I don't know. You always fear the lightning bolt too. Am I teaching the wrong thing? Am I doing the wrong things? Believing the wrong things? What sculpture hangs above the stage? I want to see what you were talking about there. Yeah, Matt Finn says you can start one. Get your Bible and your family together. Easy. Yeah. I think we could start a church. It's easy to start. Just say we're going to meet. We could meet down here. And as long as it's just a small handful of people until it grows into thousands, mega thousands. And I wear my alligator skin shoes and drive my Corvette to church as the pastor. And I say, God intends you to be rich like me. Thank you for your offerings. Don't pass by the offering plate and put into the offering plate to make sure my salary gets paid. Hey, good morning, James. Good to see you over there. I will not be that kind of pastor, by the way.
I think it's going to echo like crazy.
Well, we'll try it. We'll try it, sweetie. Oh, look who's coming in. Let's get Raini in. Oh, there she is over on her...
my yellow camera.
Here, hold on. I'm going to turn down my sound. I'm going to turn off my sound because the only reason the sound would need to be on is... Here, I'm going to take off the banner. I'm going to hide that. And we'll go like this. There we go.
Right.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's the face you were making on my camera the other day. So how you doing this morning?
I'm tired. My head hurts.
See the color on her screen? She can't fix that either. We've tried to adjust the color. It oversaturates her color. And
the wall behind me is not yellow.
Yeah, and that wall is not a yellow wall, but it looks yellow in this picture. It's kind of like the Captain Kirk shirt in the old series. It was green, but it came across as yellow. So, Dave Potter wants to know if you have clothes on. See, that's the kind of church we'd have.
Can you not see the picture? I got a shirt on.
She's like, can you not see that I'm wearing a shirt?
I have a shirt on. No one needs to know what's going on downstairs.
Your eyes look super blue. They are super blue. There you go. She just saturated super blue. I was wondering why her face was so red, says Lelania. Yeah.
It's my camera.
So, who did that moon painting behind you?
I did.
Oh, that's yours. That's right. I was wondering, was that Flynn or was that you?
That was me.
Nobody's vacuuming. Are you hearing vacuuming? Grumpy?
I'll turn off videos. I got videos running. I'm turning them off.
Oh, turn those off. Yeah.
And then I'll turn off the dehumidifier. I'll be right back.
Rainey did that painting of the blood moon, Matthew Sainsbury. That's the back wall of her part of her studio, of the part of the studio that's hers.
And it's there. Messy. It's really messy because I've been working on trying to get stuff ready for a craft fair, art fair coming up next weekend.
Yeah, she's doing the big craft fair in New Richmond.
Yeah.
Brianna, you guys should come down with us for at least a day. Here, look. This is how close she actually is to me.
Haha, you missed.
Oh, I missed. The wind took it. The wind took it. Let's try again.
Haha, you missed.
That fell short. I need something heavier, like a brick.
Here you go.
Oh, you missed. You missed. There you go. So that's how close we are. We're about 15 feet away, our desks from each other. Thereabouts. So with the sofa in between. So, sorry, what did you say, says Brianna? You talking to me? Oh, Rainey's got the art show she's doing in New Richmond next weekend with her tumblers. So you should come down and hang with us. And John, too. And the kids.
There's supposed to be tons of kid activities.
Where's it? At St. Mary's Park? Or St. Mary's? At Mary's Park?
Mary's Park.
Mary's Park.
Food and bands.
So,
admission, I think, is free.
Yeah, admission's free. So we'll have cotton candy. We'll have our cotton candy maker there.
We will not have the cotton candy maker there.
Oh, you're not bringing the maker?
No, I don't have access to any sort of electric.
Oh, no electricity. Deer antlers on the wall above Rainey's head as well. Yes, there are, Matthew Sainsbury. You're only seeing part. There's goat ones over there.
Which way do I gotta go?
You gotta go to your left.
Try not to knock over water.
There's the goat one.
There's the goat one.
That's a demon skeleton.
It's been painted. It's so pretty.
It's all painted up, that one. So, yeah, we got to get Rainey a new computer. That's coming. Get her a laptop, a good laptop or something. Big one. So she can do all her work.
I do like this computer, though, because it's touchscreen.
This one's touchscreen. Maybe that's why it's fritzing out. Too many people have gone.
Well, no, it's old. It was old when we got it from Pete. And we got it from Pete like 5-6 years ago.
Yep. No, 3 years ago when I was down there.
We lived in that New Richmond place for what, 3 years before we moved here?
I brought that back with me. The first time I ever went to Pete's was just before I went out to Utah, Wyoming and Utah.
When we didn't have a house in the summer because we were waiting for the New Richmond house.
Yep, that's when I moved down to Pete's. Okay. Well, I was planning to move us all down there to Texas.
But
and
we
so I went down to Pete's to help.
We were there for... We're in that New Richmond house for what, 3 years?
3 years in the New Richmond townhome, just before this place. And
it's been almost 4 years now. And it was older when he gave it to us.
I saw your link, Matt Finn. I'm going to have to see if I can open that up in another window. There it is. I see your link. Won't let me copy it. I have to go over to. It won't let me just open it up and copy the link. Let's see. There's the link. No, doesn't let me copy it.
Well, that's crazy.
I'm gonna have to pull it up by going into the YouTube, which I've got closed because it's delayed, and so it echoes back and blah blah blah. So I'll have to take a look at them. So yeah, Rainey, nice to have you on the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
When we get you a new laptop, you'll be able to sit anywhere. And see, her coming over here and sitting is fine, but it's boring for her. If she's not doing the talking and she's sitting there, she's to sit with her hands in her lap, almost do nothing. Yeah. So when she's at her desk, she can go, okay, I'm out now.
Here I can easily see, well, not really, because I turn my letter sizing
Look at down. That. I put hot coffee in this tumbler. There's my Tam O'Hare tumbler. Looks very yellow on the screen. That's weird. I put hot coffee in this at 8:30. It's now 10:14, and it's still hot coffee. And the lid's not even on it.
Hot coffee.
Hot coffee. With my Hot Pockets. How many of you eat Hot Pockets? How many of you, like us, have had Hot Pockets and don't eat them anymore? There's that, too. Hey, Rainey.
Huh?
You look beautiful this morning.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
You don't look so bad yourself over there.
Why, thank you. I'll take that as a compliment. So, yeah, that's the thing about cameras and built-in cameras and angles. I like to have my angle being above my eye level. Because when it's below my eye level, it does what it does to Rainey right now. Like you're always looking at my chin or up my nostrils.
Right.
And so...
And when I tilt my head down, my double chin sticks out and drives me nuts.
Double chins. Who's got a double chin? Me, I do. Look at that. I'm going to get jowly here in the next 10 years. It's just going to start. I'll have the lines that'll come down here of the big jowls, like a bulldog. And they'll flap. Unless I work out. Unless I keep working out and I become strong and muscular. Wouldn't that be nice to treat my wife when I'm turned 70 in 9 years, 8.5 years, to have a 34-inch waist and, 6-pack, a 70-year-old with a 6-pack. So my hot wife at 50 will be able to go, I got a hot husband who's 70, so bugger off. Hot Pockets. Should come with Imodium, says James. Yeah, truth. I have a roster neck now, says Grumpy Stack. A roster or a rooster?
Rooster, maybe?
You're looking pretty good, Grumpy. Saw some pictures yesterday. Looking pretty darn good.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's down 100 pounds since I met him face-to-face last year.
Nice.
This time. Well, when did I meet you first? February? No. When did I go down? Yeah, we went down at the end of January. Sam and I showed up in Louisiana. So sometime in early February, the first week, I think, or so, I met Doug Stack face-to-face for the first time. And so that was fun. I think he's lost 100 pounds since then. So that's amazing. I'm the same. Pretty much the same as you saw me then. I got on our wonky scale upstairs, which is not working very well. Last night, it said it was, at the end of the day, it was 262 pounds.
Why'd you take it upstairs?
I didn't. It was in the middle of the bathroom.
Should be down here.
Oh, maybe it was down in this bathroom. So, yeah. It's a little wonky. It's acting funny. But I go to the doc, and they always weigh me at around 270. But that's because I go, I'm not taking off my boots, and I'm not taking off my clothes to weigh myself. Well, I didn't yesterday either. I still have my shoes on and everything. Not my boots, though. So, anyway. And what the hell does that matter anyway?
Right.
You go to the doctor, and you go, I was 270 pounds. I should have taken my clothes off, so I was only 263. What does it matter? It doesn't. When I met Raini, I was 212. So there you go. Different body type. So I'm down 135 pounds since I met you. In a year, he's lost 135 pounds, Raini.
That's awesome.
Which tells me that I could do it too. See, if I lost 135 pounds, I'd be a skeleton. I could probably lose, average, I could lose 40 pounds. Easy. Be 220, 225. When I met Raini, I had really been putting on the biking and eating hardly anything but good stuff when I did eat. And it was 212. So I would love to see in shape, not because I'm ill or something, but in shape, I would love to see where I would be if I hit 200 pounds. I'd be 62 pounds lighter than I am now. And of course, it's all midsection. My body's just thick and fat. So I gained 2 pounds yesterday. I'm 205 pounds today. Wow, that's amazing, Doug. I'd like to be 205 again. I think that'd be a good goal. That would be a workout goal for me. I'd have to be biking and lifting weights and stuff like that again to reach that level.
Dump it out and open up the new milk.
Dave says, I haven't seen my chin in a long time. It's that big bushy beard you have.
Don't drink the milk.
Hey, Ellie. I see you over there.
I drank raw milk.
Rotten, not rotten.
Rotten milk? Where'd you get the rotten milk?
It was new, but it still had cheese in it.
It was fresh open milk and it had cheese.
Don't
chips.
throw it away. We'll take it back to the store if it's bad and was just opened. Scandinavian Vikings roaming the ocean. This is Matthew Sainsbury. I have no idea what that's in context to, Matthew, but there it is. Let's see. 7 ounces of cooked meat and 3 servings of greens for you, or for your meal, and just eat no carbs during the day. Well, there it is. Don't even at night either, I'd think. Carbs are my worst enemy. I love pasta.
And bread.
I love bread. So Rainy got this squishy, it's for the kids because they eat this stuff, this squishy, like, it's like a loaf of white bread, but it's not cut, but it's segmented. So you can peel it off like a bun or a roll. Really soft. I did a little peanut butter and jelly on that after, late last night. I did that because I had eaten some.
Ow, you're pulling my
I had a piece of cardboard pizza that Flynn had made around noon, and that just didn't hit the spot. So I could have just fasted all night, but I didn't. I couldn't do the no carbs thing, says Brianna. I love making homemade pasta and bread. I know. I love your cooking. That's what I miss about being across the street. We always got stuff. So you can come over with cooked stuff. So let's see. Matthew Sinclair. I like pasta too. Spaghetti is great. Yep. Meatballs and sauce. There it is. I make a fantastic spaghetti. A monster spaghetti. So. Oh, speaking of monstrous and starting a church, and I was saying people will come out and they'll want to say things about you. I ran across this screenshot I took of something a couple of years ago that somebody pointed out to me, that somebody was talking bad about me on Facebook, gossiping about me. Not talking to me, of course. Somebody said something, and I'd asked Raymond, this is the guy I asked you about yesterday, and somebody had said something about, if any of you know Scotty Roberts, he's committed monstrous acts in his past, and now supports somebody who was accused of rape and so on. And I'm like, really? Somebody screenshot that whole thread, or at least a piece of the thread, and put it out there that I committed monstrous acts. It was interesting. Nobody in that thread, there was one person that knew who I was and that I knew. But nobody said, well, what evidence do you have that he's committed monstrous acts? And I would have asked, well, why don't you be specific? Go ahead and spell out in public here. Spell out my monstrous acts. And so on and so forth. And that I support a man who committed rape. Oh, have you adjudicated that trial? You know he committed rape? And of course, this was all coming out at the height. It was my friend who was accused. And accusations are a dime a dozen, by the way. Which I think it's good that the whole Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trials are out there, because it starts to counter the public narrative that women are to be believed when they make accusations just because their mouth is moving. How can I talk like that? That's monstrous. No, I believe in common sense and fairness. So anyway, somebody said I was a monstrous person. I committed monstrous acts. And I had even the person I knew that was a friend of mine. This is a person who worked at a college, and a few years ago asked me if I would speak the baccalaureate to the graduating class, which I did. That got me a teaching position there, which I did for a semester. Now we're talking, maybe this is about 10 years ago when that all happened. But somebody I knew from the festival, and whose husband I knew really well, and still know very well, although we haven't had a lot of contact. We did very similar things at the festival. And that person, in response to this guy saying I committed horrible acts and I was this, monstrous was the word, in relation to talking about a rape case, Well, Scotty Roberts, if you know him, he's committed monstrous acts. And also supports this guy, and blah, blah, blah. This friend of mine said, oh, yeah, that's right. Thanks for the reminder. And I'm like, what? So I didn't pursue any of that, of course. You just let it go. But you think, the only person I confronted was the guy, because he wasn't on my friends list, but I could message him. And I messaged him. I said, dude, this post, and I sent him a screenshot. I said, what are you talking about here? Would you like to talk about this? Would you like to bring up what you think you know and come to me personally and ask about it? He didn't even answer me. He just blocked me immediately. Yep, that's what she said, Dave. That's what she said. You know who I'm talking about. So, so I was really surprised. Anyway, those are the kinds of things that people will want to bring out of the closet. Now, I'm a big believer in, when you see this stuff happen in politics and to celebrities out there and stuff where accusations are made, I'm a big believer in calling that person out and saying, well, that's bullshit. That's just bullshit. Either put up or shut up. And so, what has teeth and holds back a monster? Nice. Nice, Grumpy Stack. Lelania, you beat him to it. I think that's the fan on Raini's computer.
Yeah.
Oh, it might be. I can't hear it from here. So, but
It's annoying. We can hop off.
I'm in trouble. Biden's face on the guy. That's interesting, Matthew. Different Strokes. That's an old show. They must have done a if they're showing Biden in it, they must have done a something. So, no, you're fine. Well, thank you, Dave. Uncle Dave. So, Raini, what do you got to say this morning? What's on your mind?
Not much. I'm tired and not feeling good.
Yeah?
That's about it.
You're not feeling good this morning?
No. My head's hurting again. I'm tired.
I am, Brianna. I'm rude. I'm a monster, and I'm a handsy because I know how to massage.
Right.
Here, let me touch that for you. You feeling better now?
You say that, that group of people,
Yes.
those are the people who start the Salem witch trials and kill a whole bunch of innocent people.
Those are the kinds of people that start things like the Salem's witch trials. So, here, I got
have everybody
Ellery
killed
came over.
just for the fun of it.
Yep, they get people killed because they'll tie carrots to their nose and call her a witch.
Yep.
So, I can't see you hardly. You're half off the screen, little girl. Keep leaning out. If you want to be on the screen, lean in. There you go. So, Matthew Sainsbury says he hopes you feel better. What's the sermon of the day, Antonio G? We're way past the sermon today.
Yeah, you missed it.
You missed it, brother.
Got to go back and watch
do
it.
not play that here. Turn that off.
I just sent her away and
Sound
so
off.
she went over there.
Sound off or phone off. So, cute face, Rainy.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good at those.
What was the face? What was your cute face?
I only did her little. So that's
Oh, yeah. You saw her cute face that was left on my computer, didn't you? Put it up. I put the post up, Brianna.
Yeah. And I like that you just automatically think I must be mad or something.
I didn't think that.
That's what your post said.
No, I didn't. I
Something
didn't say
about,
you were
like,
mad.
being mad or something.
No, I didn't. Everybody else thought you were being mad. No.
I just didn't feel very good yesterday, and then trying to find checks to pay our rent.
I actually made it a joke.
You took the checks down here, so I walked upstairs to find the checks, and then remembered you brought them down here so that you would remember where they're at. And then I didn't know where you put them,
Careful.
so I had to dig through your desk. Well, then I finally found them. And when I set the stuff down, it was on your keyboard, and so the camera popped up. So I started taking pictures.
No, that picture was there when I got home from being out of town on Friday.
That picture was from when you came home and we got checks out. No, it's not from Friday.
Let's see.
Well, it might be from Friday, but whatever day.
It was yesterday we wrote, let's see that. I'm trying to see if it will tell me information on the picture.
It's coming off that radio tower right there. Mess with Scotty's brain.
Oh, yeah. It's the Scotty brain. Let's see.
Serious.
If I export this, I just want to see. Okay, the photo was taken on 5/27 at 12:52 p.m. What day was the 27th? Friday. So it was Friday.
Friday. You came home Thursday.
I came home Thursday night, and this was taken at noon.
And
the noon hour on Friday.
We were garage sailing on Friday. We came home. We wrote up the rent check and then went and dropped it off.
Ah, that's when you were looking for the rent.
And I had to go find the checkbooks because Mr. Scotty.
It's right where I told you it would be.
He would move it
several times. I said, "You forever from now on." I said about 3 months ago. It will be in the bottom drawer of the red file.
It wasn't in the bottom drawer though. It was the second up from the bottom. So I had to go through all the freaking drawers.
No, it wouldn't be the second up. It was always the bottom. Because the second one up is stuff full of other stuff.
Well, either way, I knew where they were.
I'm logical.
Logical.
My wife is meticulous.
Let's move it from the person who always writes out the checks. Let's move the checkbook to a most inconvenient place for her. Let's move the checkbook.
I've written out the check every time in the last 2 months.
That's because you brought the checkbook down here, so I don't do it anymore.
I said, well, every time we needed to write rent, check out, and we don't write checks for anything, nothing, except rent.
And kids' sports.
And kids' sports, stuff like that. And so we could never find the checkbook anywhere. All these little piles of things that aren't filed anywhere or put anywhere.
It's not a pile. It was up on the bookshelf.
Okay, it was in the organized slot of all kinds of other things.
Right up on the wall. It's blue.
On the bookshelf at the top of the stairs. And I said, you know what? Let's go put this in the file cabinet. I'm going to put it somewhere where when I need to write out the rent check, I don't got to go looking for the checkbook. So I said it will always, and I announced it. It's going to be in the bottom drawer of the red filing cabinet right here under my desk. From now on and forever. Let's see. IOX says, Anton, yes, select them. Now I'm confused about the 24-year-old Stranger Things kids. I have no idea. Episodes 1 and 2 of... Oh, Antonio says episodes 1 and 2 of something. Matthew Sainsbury says the Salem witch trials began in 1692. That's right. Well, we're talking about this gossip that people put about. That's how the Salem witch trials would have started had they had internet back then.
Right? So. I don't remember who's who or what's what, but somebody wanted someone's land, so that lady ended up being a witch, and they killed her, and he got the land.
Yep.
There's people. It's people being dicks.
Yeah, that's what it is. And then when you confront them, and I wasn't being confrontational, like in a nasty way, but you bring it to their attention. Hey, somebody sent me this post where you were talking about me, and you linked my name to your post. And you're saying these things. Would you like to have a discussion about that? Because I'd like to find out what you think you're referring to. Of course, what was his reaction? To block me.
Well, the same lady you were talking about, I asked her because she said something about me too, and I was like, "Well, what do you mean what I did?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "You know what you did," and it's like, "Dude,
what
did I do?" So I don't know.
That same person.
I don't know if it's old age and failing brains and too many years doing drugs out at the Renaissance Festival.
I don't know.
But shit.
And Dave, you said you think you know who this person is, but it's somebody we both know.
Yeah, she's freaking crazy.
But the answer when somebody says, "Hey, I saw you say something very negative about me, and I know you. We've been friends. You've been to my house. I've been to your house. We've hung out before. What is it?" And on the basis of that, you say, "What is it that you are finding I did wrong?"
Right.
And her response to Raini was, "You know what you did."
Yeah, because I had issues.
It's like, well, that didn't answer anything.
How do you?
Well,
Todd,
no, I
use
really
words
don't
and
know what
talk.
you did. That's why I'm asking.
So she just fell into the crowd of
Yep.
believing what everybody else said. So
It's falling into the crowd, the political crowd at the Renaissance Festival. You have to think and believe a certain way, or you are not a part of them anymore.
and when
I
you
think that's
leave,
one of the things
oh,
that's
you're a bad
dramatically
person.
changed. What's that? I'm sorry.
She said, and when you leave, you're bad people, I guess.
Yeah.
I know Carrie had, when they moved, everybody was friends with Carrie and Kate, and everybody loved Carrie and Kate.
Yep.
And then he joined the Air Force, and they were packing up to move. And Carrie's like, I helped so many of those people move and do stuff.
Not a single one of them.
None of them showed. None of
Yeah.
them. That's the kind of people they are.
Yep.
So, I don't know.
Well, there it is.
I'm done. I'm done with that drama.
I'm waiting on people ask me from time to time if I'll ever go out to the festival again. No.
Hell no.
I got no reason to.
Why would you? Why would you go reassociate yourself with people who have lost their shit?
Yep. Teal bullet. Were you saying tribalism, James? Yeah. Tribalism sucks. It does. And well, Lainey, I don't know what there is to be jealous of.
It's not even a jealousy. It's the, I guess, as cheesy as it is to say, they're the sheeple. They just fall in. Somebody says something, they want to be together. They need to be together. They have to have that togetherness. And if you don't fall in, you fall out.
Right.
And when you fall out, you're screwed.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a weird.
So that's and Rainey's exactly right about that. So
it's almost like a weird cult.
it is like a weird cult. If you go out to the Minnesota Renaissance Festival today, you have to be part of that cult, or you are on the outside. Mm-hmm. So there is no free thinking there. And I don't know what has started that. I don't know what started that and why it is the way it is. Brianna wants to go to the festival again with the girls so they can experience it because I used to have so much fun. Oh, I go out as a patron. I was a paying patron. Now, I haven't had to pay for the festival for years. I was done in 2007, and I haven't had to pay for the festival because I always had somebody there in higher positions that would float me tickets. Hey, we'll get you tickets. Just go to the will call gate. I can give out as many tickets as I want because of his position there. Well, now, of course, he's one of the ones that was accused. And so because you're accused, like with Johnny Depp, he was supposed to be believed. So anyway, I'm not getting into that again. You know what I mean? Hey, Rainey, you got two little tiny horns coming out of your head.
Yeah. Where?
Look at her picture. Grumpy Stacks is like a Trump cult. I don't know if there is a Trump cult, but the anti-Trump cult claims there's one. So
that's like the anti-Trump cult.
Yeah.
Oh, giant cults. People are weird.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, Dave, that's exactly it. There's no joy out there for me anymore. It's gone. It's changed. It's the joy is gone. Even the people I disagreed with politically were a joy to be around at the time because we didn't talk politics.
Yeah.
Now you got to believe everything that everybody else believes politically, or you're on the outs. Yeah, and the joy is gone. The
Dave,
magic is gone, I would say.
If you want to go do a new festival, there's the one over here in Glenwood that happens in July. There's the Lake
Dave
something festival that happens. It already happened up.
Uncle,
in Chicago.
would you be so kind as to look up the Ren in the Glen? Dave, have you been out to the Little Renaissance Festival out in Glenwood City, Wisconsin? It's about a half an hour east of here. We went there one time. Or did we go a couple of times? We went there at least one time with the whole family a few years ago.
We went once, and then I think the last time we forgot it, and then I went to.
We forgot it because it's only a one weekend.
Yeah, I went to Alaska.
And Raini was in Alaska, and I forgot I could have brought the kids. You're supposed to attend a wedding out there this year, but I'm not excited about it. At Minnesota? Yeah. Anybody getting married that I know? But Dave, you ought to make plans to come with us to the Ren in the Glen, unless it happens when Raini's in. Well, if it happens when Raini takes Flynn to Alaska this summer.
I think I'm at camp with both the kids.
You're at camp again?
Flynn, you can go with Ellie. I think I'm at camp with Hold on, give me a second. I go to camp with Rowan. Flynn's in camp too. They are
without you.
July 30th and July 31st.
I slept without my mom when I was 7.
So I'll be at camp with Rowan, and Flynn will be at camp with the Scouts.
Yeah, I had bad dreams.
I'm not going to camp if I can't go with you.
You can't come to camp with me.
I get to go camp with you?
No, you can't come to camp with me.
Dave, it was a sweet little festival. It reminded me, the Ren in the Glen in Glenwood City reminded me of the way Minnesota was 50 years ago. Well, not 50. I didn't go till about 40 years ago. It reminded me of the very beginnings of our festival. So they've got 50 years to catch up to the mindless cancel culture aspect of our festival. You know what's funny out there, too? Everybody wants this cancel culture, but everybody wants to... never mind. I'm not even going to get into it.
No politics.
I'm not even going to get into it. There it is. RenInTheGlen.com, Uncle Dave. Go take a look at them. Folks, you can take a look at them. It's a little festival. I ran across pictures the other day of that festival when we were there.
And obviously there's some of the festies that do
the
Shakti one.
And there's some of the ones from Minren that go out there and, spend the weekend.
Fun and new, and there's not a bunch of ding-dongs out there yet.
Right. So, and that's all I got on that. So I was talking about, the monstrous thing only because it kind of came up a little bit. And it reminded me of that. Pisses me off. Dave, I was going to send you that. Why does that still piss me off? Am I a narcissist or something that I got to attack everybody who attacks me? No. But if somebody's going to attack me in public, I say at least get your facts straight or reveal facts. I don't even have to be part of the conversation. But if you're going to talk shit about me, at least have your shit right. And don't just make a blind accusation. He's committed monstrous acts. Now, what does that mean? Were they referring to the fact I voted for Trump? Were they referring to the fact that they think I mismanaged something? Were they referring to or trying to make some reference to a sexual malpractice on my part because they included in the same sentence the fact that a friend of mine had been accused of rape? And I was monstrous? Well, how was I monstrous? I think I was very good out at the festival. And I don't think there was much, I didn't get into much bad stuff at the festival at all. I was fairly typical when I was out there. They were, you smoked a little pot, you drank a little. There was certain adult activities that would take place. And that was about it. So, but Raini, the first year we started dating, she said, "You're done at the festival. You're not going this next year." And I'm like, "What? What? I love that. That's just what I do." She goes, "Not if you're going to be with me." But she was at festival too.
Yeah.
But she wouldn't allow me to go back.
I was like, I know what festival was about.
What was it about?
Sex, drugs, and too much fun.
Drugs and too much fun. I didn't do any
Sex,
drugs at the festival.
and too much fun. You forgot the drugs.
I said drugs and too much fun.
Sex, drugs, too much fun?
Oh, sex, drugs, and too much fun. Yeah. I didn't do any drugs.
If you're gonna
I
play
did get
games, you
drunk.
go somewhere else.
Lots
No.
of mead.
Find your own chair. It hurts.
I'm glad Ellery's making you laugh, Matthew Sainsbury.
You need a stool. If you're
Amy
gonna
was the
sit.
same way, said Dave. Yeah, when he got married. You're not doing that festival anymore
No,
where
you're
I
not
met you
sitting
and
in
fell in
my
love
lap.
with you.
Sit right here.
No, you can't. You're gonna bust the arm off my chair.
I sit like this.
No, you're gonna bust the arm off my chair. Get off my
Ellie,
chair. You can sit
Ellie,
here, but
do
you
what
need
your
to go
mom's
and sit.
saying.
She's
That
saying
easy.
she has no respect for my boundaries or what I ask.
Nope. And
Which
make her
means I
respect
won't
those
take her to the
boundaries.
pet store today.
Spankings. She's too old for a
If I got to
spanking.
keep arguing with you on what I need.
7.5 years old. You shouldn't have to spank a 7.5-year-old. Sex, drugs, and too much fun? How do you have too much fun with that combo?
Right.
I didn't do the drug part, but I did the other one. And the other one. And too much fun. And I loved it out there. But that isn't all it was for me. Those were after-hours activities on occasion. It was the whole thing of it. I loved the street theater. I loved being out there 7 weekends in a row. Killing myself in a costume in a bit, but enjoying every bit of the theater of it. Ask Dave. Uncle Dave, did you go to festival for the prurient things that could happen? Or did you go there because you loved the theater, you loved the creation of a character, living this character life, and having fun and doing street theater? That's why we went. We were surrounded by 20,000 people a day.
That all goes into the too much fun section.
Yeah, that's the too much fun section. And enough drugs, you could be a Biden voter. Yeah, ain't that the truth? Matthew Sainsbury says X-rated. No, it was never X-rated unless it was private and after hours. So it was R-rated at times, some of the shows. Dave Potter says, I found myself getting pissed off about that shit too. Yeah. James, I have heard of the Dresden Files novels. I didn't discover them, though, until I had seen the TV series they did, which was all right. And then I've got some of the Dresden books up on my shelf there. I'd love to buy the whole series, the hardback series. James says, I'd like to go to one of those Renaissance festivals just for the fun of walking into the past and seeing how things were done. Yeah, and part of it is the Renaissance Festival has become kind of a loosely based on a certain period in history. Renaissance. Pre-Renaissance. However, Renaissance festivals can become a history be damned sort of thing, too.
I'm struggling with my chair.
I wondered what you were doing over there.
She sat on my lap and pushed me far enough away, and now I'm not in that comfortable spot where I can have my feet up.
Back upstairs now, so we're good.
I think I found
Hey,
myself.
Delaney Pearl Jones. You're just under Pearl Jones today. Good to see you. Iowa X says, I do not think I could hack Men in Tights. By hack, you mean handle seeing men in tights? I got to tell you, all they are like tight sweatpants.
It's like leggings.
Like they're leggings. I wore tights. I wore black velvet tights.
With functional codpiece.
With a functional codpiece. Raini made it for me. Functional codpiece means your tights have a big slit where there would be a zipper, and she sews the pouch on. And the pouch had decorative buttons and things on it. I had a lion buttons on my lions.
And then it was easier to go to the bathroom, too, without having to take your costume off.
Yeah, and they tied at the top. And I never had a codpiece malfunction. Almost had a codpiece malfunction once. But I would wear the black velvet tights. I had the big leather over-the-knee bucket boots, like pirate boots, black. And I had the black doublet and around, you wear the big sword belt with the swords dangling, the daggers, and all of that stuff. So, tights are for dancers, says Dave Potter. I never danced, but I wore tights. I also wore breeches out there. When I did Royal Guard, I didn't wear tights. I wore, frankly, we had breeches made for us that matched the costume, but they were so uncomfortable they would chafe my legs. I got rid of those. I would wear black sweatpants because we had that big costume that went over the top of them. We had the big bucket boots that went over the knee. All people could see was the fact you had black leggings on them. They weren't skin tight. So that's what I would wear. I'd wear sweatpants underneath that. And it made it much more comfortable. Oh, I've had a codpiece malfunction. This is Dave Potter. Yeah. So when a codpiece malfunctions, and when it likes to all of a sudden just go, oh, I'm open, and everything's revealed. Because the codpiece is like Lewis used to say, the codpiece is like sending all your junk and your boys out on a picnic. It goes out the slot and into the codpiece, the little pouch. I didn't like that all the time. That just sometimes felt like, here, my nuts are in a bag. Nothing protecting them. So, let's see. Yeah, and tights are not for dancers. So, yeah, we had black velvet leggings. I still have them. Upstairs. And to keep them up, I had Raini make mine with not suspenders, but a one piece. It's like the one piece old wrestlers on TV, Mad Dog Vachon.
Old-timey swimsuits.
I like a swimsuit almost with long legs.
Like the old-timey swimsuits.
Old-timey swimsuits.
Or wrestler outfits.
And so I would put the tights on with the onesie. It was like a onesie. And it would keep my tights in place. Then I'd put my shirt on over that and my doublet and anything else. So do cod pieces come in triple K, triple XK, triple XL? All depends on how they're made.
You can make them as big as you want.
Make them as big as you want. You can even stuff them if you want to. That's what they did in medieval times. They'd stuff them. And it was considered to be quite fashionable. Guys working the fields even wore them. It was a part of daily wear. There's a company, Many Men's Briefs, there with a codpiece front like we make our hose. So they make briefs with the codpiece. See, that's interesting. I wouldn't wear those. I'd feel uncomfortable. So, but anyway, you could handle men in tights. If you saw Errol Flynn and Robin Hood, you get the idea. So, although we were a little more advanced than that. So, superheroes wear tights. Sure, it's all custom work. Wonder bras for men, yeah. That's it. So, folks, we're pushing 11 o'clock. 7 minutes up. We don't have to hold any fast rules because we're not technically doing a hard, fast radio show today. So I think we're going to start wrapping this up. Raini, do you have any final words for everybody out there? Words of wisdom, words to live by.
I ain't got nothing.
Yeah, nothing?
I got nothing this morning. I'm just exhausted.
No. Do your hair like we did earlier, where you sweep the whole thing over. Looks really good that way. I love it. Yeah. Yeah, there it is. Do the big hair thing. There you go.
That's not very big, though.
Not very big. Oh, well.
There we go.
I thought it would be fun.
That's not fun. You're not fun.
I'm not fun?
No, you're making me do weird stuff on the camera.
Oh. Yeah, there it is. But I'm somewhat good looking to her today, so I'll go with that. Brianna needs to get going. Well, so do we, Brianna. She says, I need to get Harley down for a nap and get cleaning so I can finish the bag boards. Well, you get on that, Brianna.
The bag boards. It's called cornhole.
It's called a what?
It's called cornhole.
Corn bowl?
Cornhole.
Oh, cornhole. Got it. I have to get the parents up and get their breakfast, and I have to go paint. They're not up yet at 11. Older people tend to wake up early. Well, we're going to go have some lunch. Tomorrow's Memorial Day. Everybody have a good Memorial Day. Sam is coming over tomorrow with his girlfriend, and we're going to do burgers, hopefully on the grill. It'd be nice to get that grill set up.
Good luck with that one.
Huh?
Good luck with that. We don't even have the propane to run it.
I got to get a propane tank for it.
We don't know that it even works anymore.
It's supposed to work.
And then I don't know what time they're coming, but we got Memorial Stuff Day with Scouts going on.
We're going to do Scout stuff on the holiday, too?
Shut up. You don't do anything Scouts. You just
I get
bitch
tired of
about
all
it.
the things that are Scouts. It's always in the way of everything.
You never.
When do they have to go do scouting stuff?
There's a Memorial Day parade from the church to the Veterans Park.
Okay. Well, Sam can come to the parade. What time does that start?
See, you bitched. You don't even know what time. What time's Sam coming tomorrow?
I don't know. Is it 9 a.m.?
Yeah, 9:30 is the parade. Duh.
Well, maybe
you don't do anything Scouts. You just bitch about Scouts.
I bitch about Scouts. I don't mind Scouts. I like that my son's in Scouts. I'd even be a leader in Scouts, except it's time commitment. Every time you turn around, your weekend's gone.
You have no time commitment
in the middle
for
of it. There's
stuff.
a holiday. They even do holidays. But I suppose Memorial Day for scouting is somewhat appropriate. So maybe Uncle Dave will come out and visit. Come with a burger appetite, or come to cook. Bring your mac and cheese that you make. Oh, like you made at the Paradigm Symposium that one year. That would be fun. Or just come to have fun. You don't have to cook. Unless you feel like it. So, remember, Raini's gluten-free. So, that's all I got to say about that. Come to our barbecue.
Scouts is not political unless the parents make it political.
Why did my connection just drop from my mouse? That's weird. I got no mouse now.
Mm-hmm. And popcorn. Popcorn's not political. It's just really expensive.
I charged my mouse all night.
If you're willing to buy a $5 box of cookies where the Girl Scouts only get 25 cents, spend $20, buy that bag of popcorn, because the Boy Scouts and Cub Scouts get 75% of what they sell. It goes back into their pack.
Right. And I help with that.
Yeah, that's where Scotty helps. But he bitches and moans about that one too. What? I gotta go sell popcorn with the kids.
Oh, I hate doing stuff like that.
I don't know if I got a bitchy face or what when it comes to popcorn sales, but
I just try to
maybe sell a bag of popcorn for the 4 hours we go out. If Scotty goes out for 4 hours, he can get $180 in popcorn.
So I try to instill in Flynn the I got to hook up. I can't even turn the show off until I get my mouse back working. So that's what I'm doing here. I try to instill in Flynn the confidence, a little confidence. When if we're set up in the opening of a store, I said, Flynn, you gotta let people know that you're. Oh, I gotta put the chip in. This is my spare mouse.
Matthew says, I would suspect I can talk. It would be the largest parade since COVID. We have had tons of parades around here already.
Yeah, we've had lots of parades. Too many.
Parades have been going on for at least a year now.
And the Scouts always have to be in them.
No, they don't. The only parades our Scouts are in are Pea Soup and Memorial. That's it. 2 parades a year.
Iowa X. I was a Boy Scout, but I quit because there were no girls. Well, that's all been remedied for you now. Now Boy Scouts means girls too.
But you get irritated about that, Scotty. But
sometimes
there had to be some douchebags in the 80s and the 90s that decided, hey, I'm going to use this to molest kids.
Oh, yeah.
And went out and molested. Now, I think Scouts would be on that washed up, dried out, broke because of having to pay off all the stupid pedophiles from being pedophiles or paying off the kids. That's a pedophile.
Well, let's just add girls to the mix.
But by adding girls, that added a whole bunch of more income to keeping the program going. And now that they've got rules into play, and hopefully no more crappy people taking advantage of kids.
Well,
It's
you
a
hope.
really good. It's a really good organization.
You'd
And
hope.
we did the Girl Scouts, and you can remember how I felt about Girl Scouts. It's not anything. It's not
Yep.
anything like Cub Scouts. It's not. I don't do troop
It
stuff yet
sucked.
because Flynn's in the troop, and troop is boys led, and there's only one girl in the troop, but it's all boy led. They plan their own stuff. Cub Scouts parents are involved, and it's just a great program. It's a great program. They teach good things. There's a book to teach everything. It's not God, Girl Scouts, there wasn't all the parents together teaching and going and letting you know what you're supposed to do. Girl Scouts was lonely.
Yeah.
And I like
And it was
that
dumb.
there's more stuff. There's more.
Well, I loved it when the girls could come to Cub Scouts. That's different. They're grade school kids.
Mm-hmm.
When you start getting to be a teen, you don't want to put teen boys and teen girls together in the boundary waters doing a canoe trip.
But here's the thing. It's not just camping trips. When they do the big camp stuff, like the Tomahawk's coming up. Kiwanis is coming up. The camps wouldn't survive if they wouldn't have let girls in.
Well, there it is.
The
So it's
funding-
a political and a
The
financial
funding would have
decision.
dried up and stuff would have been done
Yeah.
for a lot of places. And even so, the Camp Kiwanis just across the river, that's now opened up to family camping. They have weekends where you can go and camp together as your family. It's not just a scouting camp anymore.
Well, that's a different topic. I don't care. I don't care about that. I mean, that's good. If families want to go camp, cool. I have a big problem where it's not even a big problem. The thing for me is that scouting is like going to church. When I went to church, the church had all kinds of activities. You had to do something every single Sunday of the year. You had to do something most Wednesday nights of the year for the midweek service. You had to do the other activities for fellowship and things. And our church even had a gymnasium in it because of all the sports activities and family things we did. Well, they try to create things, an atmosphere for families to have a place to go and do things. Now, Scouts is doing the same thing. The only problem I have with it is that Scouts tends to offer so many things that you can't plan shit with your family if it's not related to scouting. Because every time I go, hey, on this weekend, we got this weekend thing to open that we can go, we got a scouting thing that weekend.
Yeah, no, don't even.
Seriously?
Scotty goes, it would be nice if we could go camping this weekend. And I go, that's great, because guess what? There's free camping at the family camp out.
At the family camp out with the Scouts.
Yeah, do you know how many families camped out?
No.
5. It's
5.
not like there
There
was
you
a
go.
ton of kids running around screaming.
I don't want to go camping with the Scouts.
You've never camped with us anyway, so shush it, crabby butt.
I've set up your tent for you before. I don't like camping out with a bunch of kids.
In the 15 years we have been together, we have never camped anywhere together as a family.
Then that's
So-
why, you know why? Because
And
every time I come up with a chance to do it, we got a scouting
We've
event
only
conflicting with
been
it.
in Scouts. We've only been in Scouts for what, the last 6 years, 7 years?
6 or 7 years.
And up until the girls were in Scouts, there was only stuff to do for Cub Scouts, spring camp
Mhm.
and fall camp. That's 2 weekends out of 52 weekends. You just
Yeah.
want to bitch about it.
I want to go do our camping trip I've been trying to do for the last 3-4 years with the family. I'd like to find time this summer. But
You're not gonna this summer.
you and Flynn are going to be gone August up in Alaska. Then you got Rowan's camp. Then you got Ellery's camp.
No.
Then you
We've got Ellery's camp. Ellery's camp comes up on the 3rd weekend of June. Flynn goes to camp the last weekend of July, and
There it
Rowan
is,
goes
Dave.
to camp the last weekend of July. That's 2 weekends that our kids are gone with Scouts. That's it, and not all the kids are gone.
Well, why was this summer then characterized to me as being There's not going to be any time to do things this summer because
Well,
we've
think
got
about
the
it.
trip, and then I've got all the camping.
We got art fair
the
next
scouting
week.
camps.
We got art fair next week. We got pea soups the week after that. Then Ellie goes to camp.
Okay, I know we
Then-
got your art thing.
Yeah.
That's fine. With the whole family can do that. We're all going to be there. The next weekend is got to march in the scout parade.
That's not a got
Then
it. It's a
there's-
fun thing because then the kids get free wristbands to go spend the day at the carnival. It's a blast. That's for them. It's fun.
Okay.
Because we don't do that fun stuff as a family. We don't get out and go do the fun stuff.
Because there's so many other stuff
Oh my
that
God.
get in the way.
No, that's not even it. You're just making
Okay.
excuses.
I'm making that up.
But
I'm
then
making that up. There's no conflict anywhere. There's no conflict to getting out and camping. There's
What
no conflict. As a matter of fact, we could just pack up and go tomorrow.
We can't because the kids have school.
We can't because the kids have a scouting parade to be in tomorrow.
No, the kids have freaking school on Thursday or Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Mhm.
Where do you want to go take all of our crap apart in the garage to get out camping stuff, to go camping for, what's it going to be, 6
We got all the
hours
gear.
before we have to hurry up, pack up our stuff, and come home? You're not being logical about this.
Well, then we'll do it next weekend. No, you got the show next weekend. That's fine.
But see, you want to
But
plan.
let's do it the following weekend.
You want to
Well,
plan
we
things
can't
on the
because there's a
fly.
scouting thing.
You want to plan on the fly, and you can't. You can't do that with kids.
I'm not trying to plan on the fly. I brought it up 3 months ago. And I knew 3 months ago that almost every weekend in the summer is called for.
No,
already.
3 months ago, you wanted to go where?
I don't know where.
You said you had a trip you wanted to do. What trip was this?
I was trying to talk about doing this camping trip out through the Black Hills and over to Wyoming.
Okay, not to post our stuff out there. Savings. It comes all
It's
down
not
to
about
savings.
savings and money.
The savings.
It's about
Where do you have
taking a
money
camping
saved up
trip.
to do a camp trip? Because unless I can see that, I'm not going to plan it. Because
do we have? Never mind.
not to
It's
be
not
like,
about that.
what's
It's about saying, hey, if we have a time where we can go do something, let's get it on the calendar so we can go do it and start planning toward
I
it.
don't want to put stuff
3,
on the
4
calendar
months
if
out.
we haven't saved for it already, because it's not going to
I'm
happen.
not going to pay for a camping trip 4 months before we go.
No, but you have to have money for it.
No,
before you
well,
plan
I
it.
have to have time. What do I have to plan it a year in advance? I'm saying 4 months ago,
Well,
I said,
you've been
let's
planning
do this.
this
And it
trip
wasn't
for
a financial
since
issue.
Flynn
It
was a
was
baby, so
we have
that's
to
12
think
years.
about financial issues. We have to think, are we going to have money to do that?
Okay, how much money is it going to take to go do this trip to?
I don't know. You have to calculate gas. You have to calculate campgrounds. You have to calculate money.
Okay, have you done that yet?
I don't need to yet.
No, you need to because we have to freaking save for it. You can't just go, hey, tomorrow we are leaving to go to the Dakotas. We're going to do this trip. Cool.
Well, 4 months ago, if
Who's
I'd planned the
gonna pay
amount
for
of gas, that's all would
gas?
have changed by now.
We need the bearing and the wheel fixed
By
before we
double.
plan any trips. And
Oh,
the
then we need the
brakes
bearing
are
and the
starting
wheel
to go.
fixed.
The brakes are starting to go, so that's got to get fixed. I don't know who the hell's going to
Yeah.
pay for this trip, but fuck it, ain't me.
So there it is. So I want to go take a camping trip out. You know what? Let's not make it a camping trip. We'll make it a hotel trip. We'll rent a car. We'll rent a camper. We'll do something. Well, that costs money. You should have saved for that ahead of time. Well, we got to decide we can do it to start planning for it.
Yeah, well,
But
put it on the
was all shut
calendar.
down in the planning stage, in the inception of the idea.
you have
Because,
to.
oh, there's too much going on
You
this
have to
summer.
figure. First off, you got to figure out your cost. You got to figure out your cost. Once you figure out your cost, figure out your weekend. Once you figure out your weekend, put it on the calendar.
What's it cost to fill our car right now? About $60?
At
Small
$429. 429 times 16 is what?
429 times 16. Do the math quick. Somebody. Hey Siri, what's $4.69 times 16? Okay, $79, $75 to fill our tank. And we get what, about 400 miles per tank?
We get 200 miles per
200
tank.
miles for $75. So if we go out to the Black Hills,
How many miles to the Black Hills?
here, hold on. Let me find out. Hey Siri, what's the distance between Somerset, Wisconsin and the Custer battlefield in Wyoming? trying to look and see if it's going to give me miles or not. It's Custer Lake, and which Custer battlefield? Oh, it says to me which Custer battlefield. Here, let's start that over. Hey Siri, how far is it between Somerset, Wisconsin, and the Little Bighorn? It's giving me a map.
866 miles.
866 miles. So that's 4.5 tanks of gas. So 4.5 times 75 is what? 75 and 75 is 150. It's $300 for gas. About $300 to $400 for gas each way.
That's just to get there.
So that's coming back is the same amount. So you're looking at about $800 of gas to take a family trip. $800 of gas. Then if we wanted to rent a car, that car, we could probably get a car for about $400 for the week if we wanted to rent a car or a van or something.
It would have to be something bigger if we're going to haul camping gear.
Probably something bigger. So you're looking at $500. Let's be conservative. $500. You're looking at $800 and $500. What is it? That's $2,300 just to. No. Did I say 23? $1,300 just to drive there and back with a vehicle. That's no food, no cost for souvenirs, no cost for campgrounds. No, to easily throw another $500 on that, easily. So you're looking at $2,000 to make a trip like this. It's a great trip, but why does it cost so much? And that's if we camp and don't stay in hotels, motels along the way. That's if we don't pitch the tent and somebody in the middle of the night says, we need to go to a hotel tomorrow night. This sucks. So, it's Montana or the corner of Wyoming. And it's down in the corner of the state. I always mix that up too. I think it's in Wyoming. Old battlefields are boring. All the action is over, says Iowa X. So
to rent a SUV on here, it is $991 a month, $991 for the if we were gone for a week.
So if we took a week, it'd be $1,000 to rent an SUV.
And campgrounds, I think, are like $75 a night now.
$75 a night. $75 a night to pitch your tent in a campground. What a fucking ripoff everything is. So
you still want to go on this trip? It's going to cost us about
I want to take the trip.
$5,000.
I want to take the trip, but keep it commensurate. Where over the years when we've wanted to do stuff and we don't have the cash on hand at the time we want to do it, it's for this very same reason. It's like, it's going to cost us $3,000 to go on a trip.
And then
I either start saving 8 months ago when the snow's coming down and you're buying Christmas presents and going broke. You don't go, hey, I know. Let's start saving for that camping trip
and
this
I
summer.
should let everybody know, we don't do credit cards. If we can't pay for it, we don't go.
Yeah.
That's
the only way we use a credit card is if we can pay it off that month.
Yep. And if the credit card's for an emergency, so let's say the car breaks down, we need to have that $1,000 on the credit card so that we can pay for the car.
Right.
So that's my one thing. That's my one thing. We don't do credit cards.
It's like I just got a $1,000 Visa card through Amazon. The only reason we will use that is if we don't have the cash on hand to get something that's business related. We bought a couple of business related types of things. And so, but we know what's coming in. We say that's going to be paid off before the bill even becomes due.
Yep.
Because we don't want to have credit drag out.
I want to pay 27% interest on stupid stuff.
Yeah. Who wants to pay 22% on that one? So I don't mistrust credit cards. They're just expensive to have.
Mm-hmm.
And if you screw up with them, they're expensive on your credit.
Mhm.
So we try to be very good with our credit cards. We don't always have a lot of cash, but that's because sometimes if we had to put money down on the credit card, we pay that. That's one of the first bills that gets paid every month because we don't want credit to go past 30 days. And we've got our bank credit card, which we've had for almost 2 years. That thing has never gone over 30 days, ever. So it always gets paid off.
If we use it, it's linked up to my bank account, so I can go in. When we use
Yep.
it, I transfer right from the bank account right into the
Yeah.
credit card. Because somebody lost their bank card for a long time.
And, you know, there's ways to look into it and do that. I start to become defeatist about ever being able to take a family camping trip because there's always something that's going to conflict with it. Except that one weekend. There's that one weekend. And that's
Just
probably
plan.
the weekend where you hit the slump and you don't have enough saved up. You know what I mean? Can't go.
Right?
Or that one weekend hits and you're like, fuck camping. I don't feel like going anywhere.
But then you would have your savings so you could take that trip later.
Yeah, you would.
And we don't have to go on a weekend. We can definitely go during.
See, we can go during the week in the summertime, which is
But
nice because we work here, not
if we don't have it saved up.
punching anyone's clock.
If we don't have it saved up, I don't want to put anything on the calendar because I hate having plans. I don't want to say ruined, but I don't want to sit and tell the kids, "Hey, we're going here. Get excited. Get ready. It's going to be so much fun." Oh, we forgot to save
You
money
hate
for it,
putting
so now
things
we're
on
not-
the calendar? I can't do anything unless let me check the calendar
I
and
said
make
I
sure it's
hate
on the
putting
calendar.
Things on the calendar if we're not actually actively saving or planning on doing it. So you can put Custer Battlefield on the calendar all you want, but until we're actively saving for it, there's no sense in putting it on the
Well,
calendar.
I want us to go do the Star Trek set thing in September.
Yeah.
That's going to cost a little bit of money.
Better start saving for it. Wherever you want to stick.
I
your-
didn't say that, Elderberry. Raini said $75 a night. Elderberry just opened up a campground. Where's your campground, Elderberry? So
Let's see. I'll look up. Somebody told me the other day that they were planning their trip, and every place they were going to camp, it was the same price to get a hotel, and they're like, we don't know what we're going to do now. I'm like, I would get the hotel. I would like to pee in the real bathroom and shower every day.
Well, yeah, if it costs $75 to pitch a tent and use an outhouse, that's a little steep. He's LOLing at that price. So, what's your campground cost, Elderberry? I don't know if he's really delayed on this and doesn't see it, or I'll type it to him. What's your campground cost? And where is it? So anyway, yeah, that's why. We can look at all the reasons to blame why. Well, here's why we don't go camping, because you can't do this or you can't do that. No, don't go camping because there's always something in the way.
No, you don't
Be it
plan.
financial, be it scouts, be it illness, be it something, or fucking something else. There's always something in the way, and we never seem to get to go. It's never been is it too late to start a tradition with our family? No. We still got a 7-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 12-year-old.
So here's
We
Black.
start a tradition of going camping and being a camping family, and that way it becomes part of who we are.
Here's Black Hills Tent and RV Camp. It's $59 a night per 2 guests, and we have 5. So I'm not sure what.
$60 just to camp at a campground.
That's tent camp.
A tent camp. Pitch your tent on their campground for $60 for a night. That seems a little steep.
To have 3 kids, it's $89.
$89 for 3 kids.
And this is per night from June 28th to June 30th.
A tent campground.
Just because I picked weird dates. So just a tent camp, it's $89 per night for 2 adults and 3 children. And that's
And I was
Black
thinking,
Hills.
now I haven't gone to a campground and pitched a tent for a long time. I was thinking $15 a night to pitch your tent. No, it's 90. People show up camping at the quarry on the farm. They say my grandpa gave them permission in 1975. I run them off. They've never offered $75. Yeah, there you go. See, I thought, wouldn't it be nice if you could just drive somewhere and go camp in the woods? Go camp on the roadside? Off the road, not the ditch. I mean, just off the road in a field. And even if it's private, then yeah, if you give me $75, you know, $75 to $90 a night to pitch your tent.
And that's at the Black Hills tent.
I suppose that's up for if they have outhouses set up or privies of any kind. And
I don't know. It didn't say that.
all right, for the real now, I'm getting Harley down for a nap so I can go do stuff around the house, says Brianna. No, you'll stay around as long as we're here. We're getting off too.
Yeah.
So
They have potable water available.
potable water available.
There's a kitchen available, showers available, picnic table, Wi-Fi, bins, and laundry is present on site.
Right here, 20 acres whenever you want to camp. Elderberry, where are you? See, we used to have that 40-acre ranch, and it was easy to camp out there. You could walk away from the house 20 acres away and pitch the tent, and it was like camping because home was a million miles away or 20 acres away. $50, says Elderberry. Where are you? Elderberry. I think he must be really lagged or delayed. Oh, I'm way off from buffering. Oh, okay. There you go. All depends on where you live. Where's your acreage? Yeah, see, if we had 20 acres right now, if we had the 40-acre ranch we used to have, you go camping out there. We used to have tents set up there. Long time ago.
I'm done looking at campsites. I don't plan on going camping.
You don't plan on going camping?
No, if you want a trip, you plan it, because I don't know what your plans are for the Custer battlefield, where you want to go, how long you want to stay.
Well, so I haven't planned the details yet because there's no point. We can't find an open weekend. So maybe during the week at some point we can find some open time. But it's getting there and back. It's going to take 3 days to get out there, 3 days to get back. That's a week right there. So
And $89 a night to camp.
what's it? And $89 a night to camp. Yeah. We're all sleeping in the car and you'll all enjoy it. So.
Well, not to be. I don't know what Walmarts are like there, but Walmarts here, most of them you can sleep in your camper in the parking lot.
Sure, if we had a camper.
So we just got to buy a camper and we can just stay in the Walmart parking lot.
There we go. Let's buy the RV. You know, we talked about that once. Let's not get a mortgage on a house. Let's just get a big RV. So he has a good spot with a little frog pond north of my house. Well, that tells me where it is, but not where is it? Elderberry, where is it? Well, it's by the frog pond by my house. So anyway, folks, we're going to take off. He can't stop buffering. I'm sorry about that, Elderberry. That sucks. Unplug your modem and plug it back in. See if that helps.
That helps.
All right, guys. We're gonna get out of here.
I need to go find caffeine.
I need to go caffeinate my beautiful wife. So you'll take it and you'll like it. All right, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, as usual. And that's all we got for today. Hope you enjoyed yourself, and hope life is good and all of that jazz. So you know what? Live long and prosper. There she is, prospering. Good night.